Right. We're on, Dad.
Hey,
So, how was your weekend, Dad? How's your
yeah, it was
vacation goes?
good. My
Doing?
birthday, and
Oh, really?
went
What
down
was
to
your
my
birthday?
sister's,
I'm
Cinco de
sorry.
Mayo.
I'm sorry, bro. I don't know. Happy birthday, man.
Oh, no worries. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
Did
you.
you do anything fun?
I
Did you
went
get?
over to my sister's, and we went out and did some stuff, and hung out with. She has a baby, a new 7-month-old and
Oh, dope.
2-year-old, and so
Yeah.
lots of stuff going on there.
Oh, yeah,
But
definitely.
yeah, it was good. Yeah, I'm on vacation, so.
Oh, that's good, brother. Well, it's good that you're glad that you're able to do this on your vacation, man.
Oh
Appreciate
yeah.
it. You doing God's work.
We'll do the second half of Oswald, the shooters, and was Oswald involved or not, and all that, because
Yeah.
people really want to know.
So maybe we call this the third part of our three part or maybe four, possibly four-part series on the inner workings of the CIA regarding JFK and Nixon. So we first talked
Even up
about
to today with Trump,
yeah, all the way, man. So
it
we
still continues.
so we've talked about on a couple episodes ago about the Secret Service agent getting pulled off the limousine right before JFK got murdered. Your theory about that and the manhole. And then
Right.
we talked about Nixon, it being a setup, a Watergate being a setup to remove Nixon.
hmm
And now we are coming back to another theory regarding Oswald.
Yeah. So, well, in the first one, we just talked about, which I think is, the most compelling evidence that the United States government is complicit, and made the call on the JFK assassination and overthrew the United States government, and then they maintain that power to this day, and that's why we're in the issues we are. But in that one, you have the Secret Service agents being pulled off the back of the limousine just as they're leaving the airport, by the direction of the LBJ Secret Service. Lyndon Baines Johnson Secret Service does that and has the motorcycle cops fall back, which clears the shot for Oswald and any other shooters that are from behind. Oswald's definitely one of them. I know some people think he's innocent. Some people think he's a lone shooter. Some people think there's multiple. Um, so we could get into, we've established the United States government did it. And now what's Oswald's part in it, and where did the shots come from?
Hmm.
And so to understand the Oswald part of it and make it clear why he was involved, and that's my position that he's definitely involved. And so this guy, his mother, he has two older siblings, and when he was just an infant, she gave them all away to, um, like, the government. She's like, I can't take care of them, but they would only take the two older ones because he was too young. So she's trying to give them away. So
Wow, really?
yeah, so he didn't really, and he moved around a lot. He was in New York, Louisiana, Dallas as a kid. Even in New York, he was a class president in eighth grade. So they say he's this loner, and he really wasn't. That's just the perception they want you to have to make him seem like, yeah, this guy's a weirdo that nobody liked, nobody talked to. But it's completely the opposite of that.
Yeah.
But my point is that his childhood was very, his mother was just basically not there, and she was divorced, so he was growing up with her, and she had no interest really. So he found acceptance in other people. And so at age 15, the one picture I sent you, he's out in the bush in Louisiana, and he's training with anti-Castro forces. That's what that is.
I want to put that picture up.
And yeah, if you can,
Okay, hold on a second.
he'll be the far one on the right of the picture. And so 15 years old, this guy's training at 15 with
Yeah.
anti-Castro forces, right? Where's his parents? Why isn't he in school? What's going on there, right? So this is the family he found to replace the family he didn't have. So they took him under his wing. Now he's not being groomed essentially to kill the president at this point, but he is being groomed. And what they'll use that for later, they might need him, they might not, right? And they probably did this with several people, but he's a perfect candidate. Why would a
Yeah.
15-year-old be out there in military gear training anti-Castro stuff, right? He doesn't even have any real life experience, but yet he's involved in something this big
Yeah.
that's an adult sort of thing. So you could take into account he did that. Then he's out in New Orleans. He's on the radio, and there's video of this online. You can look this up. So someone filmed it in the radio station talking about this is after, I believe, after he came back from Russia when he defected, and he comes back and he's down there and he's doing anti-Castro and pro-Castro stuff. So he goes to the pro-Castro offices and he goes to the anti-Castro offices and he tells them both, "Hey, I can help you. I'm on your side, right?" So then he's out handing out leaflets, and I didn't put that picture on there, but there's a picture of him on the street corner handing out leaflets.
Oh yeah.
I believe the anti-Castro leaflets out there, and the pro-Castro guys. He went to their office, happened to be walking down the street, and run into him and see him doing that, and they're like, What are you doing? You just said you're pro-Castro, right?"
Yeah.
So he gets into a fight with them. They get arrested, him and a couple of the pro Castro guys. They take him to jail, and he doesn't even want out. He doesn't even. They tell him you can go. He's like, I don't even want to go, but for whatever reason, I'm not sure. Maybe he was afraid of him. But my point is that he's very political,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
He's involved in Castro stuff at 15. Um, he joined the Marines in 1956. He he gets a sharpshooter marksmanship. Eventually, he gets sent off to Osaki, Japan, and becomes a radio air traffic controller at the air base in Japan, which is a CIA base. Then he's working with air traffic control for the U-2 spy planes over the Soviet Union during the Cold War. So this is not a stupid person. This is not a person who can't handle stuff. You don't get put in air traffic control position at a CIA base in Japan dealing with the U-2 spy planes because you're incompetent. So he's definitely being put in positions that are not normal for an average Marine.
Yeah.
Then from there, he
And
he
they got
he
to know that they could trust him. He can't be like just some bumbling idiot that was just gonna mess everything up. So they got to know that he has some intelligence in him. So definitely.
right. So from there, he says he wants to go home because his mother's ill, and so they give him leave or an honorable discharge. I think it was an honorable discharge. I think he was discharged anyway. But he doesn't go home. He goes. I believe he went to England, then to Finland, then he goes to Russia. So uh, how he can do all that, is amazing to me. But he goes to the Soviet Union. He stays there for 2.5 years. They say he tried to commit suicide because they didn't want him to stay. They weren't going to keep him. But then they do keep him after that, and he works in some factories and stuff. And then he says, he got disillusioned, so he comes back to the United States 2.5 years later, and I believe that's when he went to New Orleans and did his anti-Castro stuff. So um, he's back in the United States. The CIA has a file on him, and so but they cleared everything, like all the hurdles to get back into the United States as a Marine who defected to the Soviet Union during the Cold War. To clear all those hurdles, not only that, they gave him a loan. They gave him some money. Like, this is what the CIA did for him as a Marxist communist, self-proclaimed, who went to Russia, defected as a Marine, and then you're going to say, yeah, yeah, come on back. No, we'll just get rid of all the red tape. Here's some money.
Yeah.
Like, it
Yeah.
makes no sense,
Makes no
right?
damn sense. Yep.
Right. So then he comes back. He does his anti-Castro stuff. Then they say he went to Mexico, but they also say they had body doubles that were trying to frame him. I'm not sure, but anyway, he goes down to Mexico, goes to the Cuban embassy, um, and we're not sure what happened there because there's not a lot of information on that. But the whole point of all of this is that this is a very political person, very involved in world politics and national politics, right? More than probably anybody listening to this podcast ever was.
Yeah.
And he's very young. He starts at 15 and he's doing this stuff. He the assassination. He's only 24, so he's
It's
by from
crazy.
15 to 24. He's training out in the bush. He becomes a Marine. He goes to Japan, becomes air traffic controller for U-2 spy planes. Comes back, no problems. Goes down to New Orleans. He's doing more anti-Castro stuff. He's on the radio, talking about Marxism and things like that. So he's basically being groomed uh, for something.
Yeah.
Now, whether they are intending to kill the president or not. But they're going to use him in some way because they can see this guy has no real family. He's very political, so he's a candidate to be used, and they'll just keep grooming him, and then they'll have him on the sideline, and if something comes up that they need him for, they'll use him.
Yeah.
So something does come up. They want to get rid of Kennedy, and the CIA wants to get rid of him because of Bay of Pigs, Vietnam, the Cold War. They think Kennedy's soft on communism. He says he's going to splinter the CIA into 1,000 pieces because of all the dirty stuff they're doing. They're working with the mafia. They're doing assassinations. They're trying to control world events. So
Yeah.
the CIA wants to get rid of him for sure. So the opportunity comes up. Hey, he's going to go to Texas. Well, okay. So Oswald just happens to get a job at the school book depository in October of 1963, 5 weeks before the assassination. What a coincidence,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and this is facilitated by, so when he's in Dallas, his wife and him are at a party and they meet Ruth Payne. Now Ruth Payne's a school teacher and she's fluent in Russian for whatever reason. You know, a lot of school teachers were fluent in Russian. Makes no sense to me either, but
Yeah.
it's possible. Anyway, so they're struggling financially. So she allows Marina, his wife that he brought back from the Soviet Union, to live with her because she wants to learn more Russian. Well, she's already fluent in Russian, but anyway, so she lives with Miss Payne, and they're, I think they're actually Russian spy handlers, are Americans who are, been created into double agents essentially, or they're basically handlers for Oswald. And she ends up getting him the job because she knows somebody else. Um, his name's Bill Frazier, and they live on the same street. And he gets the job at the school book depository about a month before Oswald. Then she tells him, "Hey, can you get Oswald a job there?" And so Oswald goes down there, and the guy that the manager there says, "Well, I don't really know if I have anything for him, but tell him to interview." So he goes down there and he ends up hiring three people. Like, I
Mm.
don't need anybody, but I hired three people. Then their first day of work, he said he needed two people at a different location. So he sent the other two and kept Oswald.
Mm-hmm.
So once again, everything's just lining up for this guy to be at that place right before the assassination. So then you come to the day of the assassination. This is where it gets really, really good in that he's involved. So uh, he drives in with that Beale Frazier. So he normally would he was staying at a rooming house in Dallas, and his wife was staying with Miss Payne in Dallas, but she didn't want him to stay there as well. So he would go back on the weekends with Bill Frazier, the guy he worked with, and he would drive him over there because they
Mm-hmm.
lived on the same block. But the I I believe it was the Thursday, either the Wednesday or I think Wednesday or Thursday of that week. Oswald asked him, "Hey, can you take me over to Marina at Ruth Payne's house tomorrow?" Which I believe was Thursday. And he said, "Well, that's weird. I can take you, no problem. I told you I'd take you anytime, but it's only Thursday. Aren't you going to wait till the weekend?" And he said, "No, I got to go pick up some curtain rods, right?"
Mm.
So he needs curtain rods. Well, he already has curtains in his rooming house. Marina has curtain rods. Marina, after the occasion, says, "I don't know anything about curtain rods. He didn't have any curtain rods. We don't need curtain rods, right?"
Oh boy.
So the day of the assassination, he walks over to from Miss Payne's house to Bill Frazier's house, and he's waiting outside, and he puts a bag in the car, and Bill Frazier comes out and says, gets in the car, and they're driving to work, and he looks in the bag and says, "What's in the bag?" He says, "Oh, it's curtain rods." "Oh yeah, that's right. You told me about the curtain rods."
Mm.
So basically, that's the weapon.
Yeah.
So then he gets to work, and at this point, it's been announced 3 days prior the presidential route of the motorcade because they want people to know, so they'll come out and see him. That's the whole point.
Mm-hmm.
So Oswald would definitely know because he's, like I said, he's more political than anybody listening to this. If anybody's going to be interested in that, it's him. And Bill Frazier, the guy he works with, said he didn't know that the president was driving by till the day of it, right? Someone just happened to mention to him at work. Now, imagine yourself working at a building that the president of the United States is going to drive by, right?
Mm-hmm.
nobody's talking about it for 3 days. Nobody says a word about it, and you just happen to hear it the morning of. So this guy's also probably some sort of handler. I think that this was all set up to handle Oswald, to facilitate him getting the job, facilitate him um, being able to do this.
Yeah.
Now that day, as the president goes by, the shots ring out. Well, everyone's outside or in the building looking out the windows, but Oswald says, I'm in the lunchroom, just eating my lunch. So the most political person, the guy who goes on radio talking about Marxism and anti-Castro stuff, right? This guy who's out in the bush training anti-Castro at 15. This guy who was a Marine who defected to the Soviet Union, right? He's super interested in politics and world politics, but he's not. He's the only one that's not going to watch the president drive by. Makes no
Yeah.
sense at all.
Yeah.
We know that's not true. That's a lie. So then after the shooting, he manages to leave the building. Um, and they do roll, after the shooting, they collect all the employees in the building and they take roll, and he's the only one out there. So when he leaves, he walks the opposite direction of the way the limo was going up the street the other way, and then he gets on a bus, and the bus gets stuck in traffic. So he gets off the bus, he walks back towards the school book depository, but he doesn't get all the way there. Then he goes across the street to a taxi, or another. It's another bus station. It's the bus station right there, but there's a taxi there. So he gets in the taxi, and the taxi driver drives him back to where his rooming house is. But he goes about a mile past it. Tells him he doesn't tell him where his house is because he doesn't want him to know. So he goes about a mile after that, gets out, and walks back to his rooming house. Goes in the rooming house. The lady who owns it said he walked in, went in his room. He was there maybe a minute or two. Comes out with a jacket on. So that's basically all he did was put on a jacket. Then he walks back out and walks back down the same way he had come from where the taxi dropped him off. And he's just walking through these city streets, these neighborhoods, and a police officer, J.B. Tippett, notices him, and he fits the description because this is now being broadcast over, to be on the lookout for him
Mm.
because he's missing
Yeah.
from the role. So the officer stops him, talks to him a little bit um, through the window, and gets suspicious. So he gets out. As soon as he gets out, Oswald produces a handgun, shoots 5 times, hits him 4 times, and kills him. And there's witnesses to this. And then Oswald takes off walking fast away from there. He's walking through Dallas suburbs and some of the Dallas city area, and he throws his jacket under a car, tries to disguise himself. But some people are watching where he's going, but they lose sight of him because they're a little afraid because he just shot and killed a police officer.
Yeah.
So anyway, he ends up walking down into like a business area and walks into a shoe store. And at this point, the police are flying by. So he basically walked in there to get out of the view of the police that are coming down the street, sirens blaring. And the owner of the shoe store says, yeah, he came in and he just kind of stood at the front and he wasn't acting normal. It wasn't like he was looking at anything. He was just kind of standing there and he's looking out the window. And as soon as the police went by, he walks back out and continues walking down the street. And the owner of the shoe store says that something's not right about this. So he followed him and he went down a little bit. It wasn't very far to the Texas Theater, and he goes in the Texas Theater, and the lady at the booth had come out to see what all the sirens and what's going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she doesn't notice him go in. He doesn't buy a ticket. He goes in, and the shoe store owner goes up to her and says, "Hey, did that guy buy a ticket?" She goes, "No," and and he goes, "Well, call the police." So then they call the police, give him a description. They figure it's him, and they show up at the front and the back. They come in, and he's just sitting in the theater by himself. And a police officer comes up to him and he produces the handgun again and he says, "Well, it's over now," and tries to shoot the cop, but the cop grabbed the gun and his thumb, the webbing between his thumb and forefinger get caught in the trigger mechanism or the wherever you cock the gun back because it's a revolver,
Mm-hmm.
and so it doesn't fire.
Oh.
And so they apprehend him. They take him to jail. And then, they have him for 2 days. 2 days later, in a police station, the guy accused of killing the president of the United States and a police officer is shot right in front of the police. So he's brought out to be assassinated,
Yeah.
right? So he can't talk. And whether the shot killed him or not, he gets shot in the gut. He's going to die. He's
Yeah.
not making it out of there. So they probably in the ambulance they probably just smothered him.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, he's probably not dead yet, but they probably did. Or the gunshot could have killed him. We don't know. But either way, he's not talking. And so
It's too
what
perfect.
so when people ask whether Oswald's involved or not, he's involved. You got the most political person you probably ever met in your life, and he's not going to watch the president go by.
Yeah.
Makes zero sense. Right there, we know that's a lie. No way. Then, after the shooting, he leaves. And then he starts walking around randomly and hopping on buses and cabs, and then he shoots the police officer. And the reason that happened is because he was groomed for this. He's part of this team. Now he doesn't. I don't believe he realizes there's other shooters. So when somebody else shoots, he knows, hey man, they're framing me. Or when he leaves the building, his getaway car isn't there,
Yeah.
right? Because you got this guy who plans out and executes the assassination of the president in broad daylight,
Yeah.
and he has no escape plan worth of crap, right?
Yeah.
He
That makes sense.
didn't
Yeah.
nothing at all, makes no sense,
Yeah.
right? So he was definitely involved.
Uh, yeah. Well, I mean, it definitely no. It makes sense that he's basically he was probably told to start being like more of a Marxist sympathizer and passing out those pamphlets to seem like he would be somebody that has a grudge against the American president. And yeah, if he right after the shooting, as soon as he leaves the building, it would make sense if they, they're setting him up this whole time that there would be a getaway car, but for him to leave,
Right, he walks out. Where is it?
yeah, for him to leave and
And
think, oh, I'm just gonna walk away. Hmm.
right there, he's like, crap.
Yeah,
Or when he shot and then someone else shot, he's like, wait, who's that? Because I'm part of this team, right? I'm part of this plan, and I don't know about what these other
yeah,
people because there was definitely more than one shooter. And so that would have got him right there because the headshot's not from him. The
yeah,
headshots they say behind the grassy knoll, but it's probably from the manhole, which is a way better location for concealment and escape. But he's definitely involved. So I mean, we have fact that he killed a police officer. Why would you do that,
yeah,
right? Why are you walking around with a gun?
yeah,
So he's definitely involved. So there's a lot of people that think Oswald's completely just framed. Now he is framed in the fact that he thought they made him feel very important, a guy who had nobody, and they made him feel very important. They accepted him and they groomed him up for this, and so he thought, I'm going to be this great hero for the United States government. We're going to get the right people in charge, and I'm going to be an instrumental part of it. So they really played on his ego. And for somebody who's doesn't really have a whole lot in his life as far as family or friends, yeah, that works very well.
yeah,
And then I guess we could talk about where the other shots came from if you want to do that. I
yeah.
think that pretty well establishes Oswald,
Yeah,
correct?
that was definitely a good play-by-play right there. So, is there a particular picture you want to put up to discuss real quick?
If you just put up the pictures of the oh, can you just put up one or more?
I could think I could do more
Well,
than
you could
one.
put up the manhole ones one at a time. Do the diagram one first.
The diagram, okay. You still can't see it on your phone yet?
I see it, yeah.
Okay, is that the one right there?
Yeah, so this
Okay.
is a diagram that was someone created. I don't know who, but it's accurate. And the X's on the street, that last X is the headshot, and the line going to it is where they believe the shot came from behind the grassy knoll, which is possible. It's very possible that someone did do that. However, if you look at the manhole just below it, that's a way better shot. It's not a way better shot, but it's a way more concealed shot. It's closer, it's concealed, and you have an absolute getaway. No one's going to even think that someone's in there. So it's like a bunker that's dark, and you can shoot from there. And they've tested it, and
Is it right here where where it looks like a tunnel, like a
no, no, no. It's a little below that, too, right? You can see like a little square, just where it says HCAA or HSCA.
mm-hmm.
If you just go to the right of that, there's a
Oh yeah,
manhole right there.
yeah, I see that
So
square.
that's
Okay.
the manhole. and that's been tested that from that manhole you have a shot from JFK's chest up
Let me see.
because it's a convertible, and Conley's in a jump seat which is a little to uh, the side, so nothing's in the way other than the manhole is a little. It's a little downhill, but you still had him from that manhole
Yeah,
in the limo. You could shoot him from the chest up, so
yeah,
the headshot's perfect from there, and
yeah,
it's a clean getaway, right? If you're behind the grassy knoll, yeah, you could do that shot and it might be a little easier because you're not in such a confined space, but the probability of getting caught
yeah,
is way higher because you're out, you're sort of in the open, you have a fence in front of you and the people are mostly in front of the fence, but behind it is where everyone parked. So you'd have to make sure no one's in their car, no one went back for anything, whatever. They probably didn't because they wanted to see the president. But you have a railroad tower in that same parking lot that's 2 stories high, and there's a man, the railroad superintendent. He's in there at the time manning that, so he would be able to see them. So they would have to get him to lie. So it is possible, but the way I look at this, I just look at it logically. If I'm a shooter and I have an opportunity to go scout this location, which they did, whoever did this did, and I believe it's the CIA, um, then there's no better position to be in than the manhole because it's concealed. Um, no one would know you're there. No one would suspect it, and then you just walk out the tunnels, and they're 30-inch pipes, 30 and 15-inch pipes. It used to be a residential neighborhood, so you would actually have to crawl through them. But the 30-inch pipes, it's plenty big to crawl through. So you just take the shot and you crawl right out,
yeah.
and no one's even looking there. And the reason I believe that they think it came from the grassy knoll is one, no one's suspecting that. Then you're shooting out a little slit. So when a gunshot makes a lot of noise, so the sound waves are going to take the path of least resistance. So the little slit, a little is going to come out, but through the 30-inch pipe, it's going to travel backward through there because that's an easier opening, a bigger opening. And then there's another picture I gave you with a storm drain behind the fence.
Behind the fence. Okay, I got that right here.
And so there's a storm drain, right? Yeah, right there's a storm drain, and that's behind the fence of the grassy knoll, and it's very large. So if you shoot the gun in the sewer, most of the sound's going to travel out the bigger pipe and come out that. So
Mm-hmm.
that's right behind the fence, so the sound would echo out of there. So it would sound like that's where it came from, and no one's thinking from underground anyway. So that's why I believe a lot of people ran to the grassy knoll is because that's where the sound actually did come out.
Yeah.
A little bit came out from the slit, but most of it would have come out there. And then if you look at there's two pictures of the manholes. There's the one before they changed it, and then there's the one after they changed it. Yeah,
Oh,
so that one right there is the one before they changed it, and it's bigger. And so the shot from that manhole, you got him from the chest up. But then later, because I think some people started getting onto this, they cemented around it a little bit and they changed it. So they made the slit smaller and makes the shot more difficult, if not impossible.
let's see.
So, and right there, why would you do that to a storm drain?
Yeah.
It's a good idea. Our city needs is less water going into the storm drain. Let's make the opening smaller, right?
Yeah.
Right. So it makes no sense. But I mean, imagine being in there and you just put, the rifle right up to the edge there, or even a handgun, and take the shot.
Yeah, it's a perfect location. Yeah.
Right.
It
So,
almost seems like it makes the shots from the back unnecessary unless it's just to set somebody up because
well, the
it was
shots
a
from the back,
I think
yeah.
it was a long shot. You know what I mean? From shooting from way back there as opposed to something as close as this. I think this
Well,
was a
you got to keep in
guarantee.
mind, Oswald was a Marine and he did score sharpshooter.
Yeah.
So he could shoot. But this guy here, and there may be even someone behind the grassy knoll, maybe someone further down. There's multiple shooters, and the job is going to get done. However, if Oswald makes the shot, then this guy doesn't have to shoot.
Yeah.
He's only there in case Oswald doesn't, because they're not trying to reveal that they're um, that it's a conspiracy.
Yeah.
They want it to be just Oswald, but Oswald does make the shot and he does hit Kennedy, but he hits him in the back and goes out his neck. But is that going to be fatal? They don't know. They know Kennedy's hit, and they only have it's only like 5 seconds between that and this,
Yeah.
so they only have a few seconds to decide, hey, are we taking the shot or not? And
Fuck. That's crazy.
Oswald's probably supposed to hit him in the head, and
Yeah.
so he misses because it is a moving target, and you're nervous. You're shooting the president, so I could see all that. And he takes. There's two shots from behind, and I think there's two shooters because they're almost simultaneous, and that's why they have the magic bullet. Just one bullet hits Conley, the president, and Conley.
Hmm.
No, it's bam, bam, right? You can't bolt action that fast. So there's two shooters probably from behind, maybe one on the roof or the seventh floor or a different building, and they've proven this, in the lab. A forensic lab 3D animation proved that the bullet that hit Kennedy in the back could not have hit Conley the way it did. And it's just a dumb idea anyway. But because the shots happen so fast, and you can see on the Zapruder film the reactions, Kennedy gets hit, holds his neck. Conley starts looking back, and he's fine. But then you can see him react. He gets hit, right? So that's not one bullet that takes a second or eighth of a second. It's two bullets. So you got Bam Bam, and uh, the job isn't done, right? So the guy from the manhole or behind the grassy knoll, uh, I think the manhole, but it could be grassy knoll. It is possible to have done it from there, and with enough Secret Service or fake Secret Service,
Yeah.
not allowing people back there and guarding the area, they could have done that. But probably from the manhole, it's just a I mean, if you're a shooter and you can pick a location, if that's a good shot, which it is. That's the location you want. So because the headshot didn't happen, this guy had to take the shot, and he did, and he made the shot. At that point, if there's any other shooters, they're done. They don't need to pack it up. We're out
Yeah.
because we just blew his head off, right? So I think that's how that happened. The guy in the manhole or behind the grassy knoll or wherever these other shooters are, they didn't want to have to take that shot, but they
Yeah.
became necessary because Oswald he hit, but was it fatal?
Yeah.
So
It's just incredible. I mean,
right,
you got to imagine what these guys were thinking even after all this happened. Like they're almost they got to be so happy that it worked out. Like it was so many steps, so many details for it to work out, and it worked out perfectly. You got to think even if the shot from behind had hit Kennedy, if he had just maybe just laid down on his wife's lap, just like choking, you know what I mean? He would have saved his own life, but he stood up and he was struggling to try to breathe, and he just set
right.
himself up to be perfectly shot from the front. And
Or if there's a Secret Service agent on the back of that car, there's supposed to be two of them. If he's there, he jumps on Kennedy, and Kennedy's, whether
yeah,
that shot would have killed him or not, I don't think so, but it might have. But he definitely is not getting shot in the head.
yeah,
And the shot from behind couldn't get him because that guy's in the way. That's why he's not there.
yeah. That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
So, and
a
then
lot of things could have gone wrong for them, but everything went right. They got it perfect to this day. Like they still haven't even got caught.
Well, they coordinated this very well,
Yeah,
and like I said, people get distracted by the Zapruder film. They want to see the graphics shooting and the headshot and all that. But go back and look at the airport video. It's at Love Field. All you got to do is Google in or whatever internet search Secret Service pulled off JFK limo at Love Field,
yeah,
and you'll see the actual video where the Secret Service agent in the back, who's the head of the Secret Service agents, tells him to stand down, and he throws his arms up in confusion. And
yeah,
he doesn't do it until the limo actually starts moving. So
yeah,
there's no time for anybody to react. And the motorcycle cops are not allowed to get up to the back of the car either because they will all be in the way. And then 4 years after this, approximately in 1968, right as RFK, his brother gets the Democrat nomination for the presidency in LA. They changed the route for him, leaving the hotel at the last minute. And he walks through the kitchen and he gets murdered. The Secret Service is just terrible at their job, I suppose, right? They can't protect JFK, and now they can't protect his brother, who they know his brother's already been murdered as president. Now he's probably going to be president. He gets murdered. He'll have access to the files and find out. They can't allow that. And he gets shot 3 times from the back. Sirhan's in the front.
yeah,
And it's the same scenario. The guy's hiding underneath the refrigeration unit. There's a giant industrial refrigeration unit that's open at the bottom with like some lattice kind of looking, or kind of like chain link sort of stuff, where it's real dark under there, and you can just sit back under there from underneath and shoot him, and he gets hit from below in the
Yeah.
back of the ear. And Sirhan couldn't have made that shot. Now Sirhan wasn't groomed like Oswald. I believe he was actually like an MK Ultra, like he was actually brainwashed with drugs and
Oh
probably
yeah.
electroshock and things like that. But
Yeah.
Oswald, you didn't have to do that. Oswald was all about this stuff. He wanted to be somebody, and they just really worked him over.
Yeah.
And and it worked out really well for them. And then they say, well, he's a lone nut gun shooter, but we can't show you the tens of thousands of documents we have because it'll jeopardize national security. Those two things can't be true. They told you right up front, we're lying to you. We're going to keep documentation about the JFK assassination that will affect national security if we tell you, but it's just nobody lone gunman who did it. Well, if it's a nobody lone gunman who did it, and that's the completion of your investigation, there are no documents
Yeah. There's
that would
no
affect
there's no
national
national
security.
security
He has
risk. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So they tell
Yeah.
you they're lying to you. Then you can watch them pull their Secret Service off, right? So it doesn't really get. It's not complicated. It doesn't get people. These a lot of these videos people watch are just so they get into the weeds and complicated theories and things like that. And a lot of the stuff they're talking about is true. Like Marilyn Monroe, they killed her. Yeah. Um, Lots of different people who got killed after this that were witnesses or had information. Yeah, they did do that. I'm sure. I can't prove it, but it does make a lot of sense. But it distracts from the very simple evidence
So you don't
that they
believe
removed his security.
so you don't believe that NASA was the one that assassinated JFK because he was about to reveal aliens on the moon? You don't believe that
I
one?
think that they had a laser that they shot from the moon that was the headshot.
Yeah, that's one of the
Yeah.
dumb theories. Nah, yeah, I'm with you. That's exactly what we've been talking about. Yeah, they focus on so many different things, but some of the most obvious details of this you don't see documentaries on. You know what I mean? The limo driver, the manhole. Like you would think that's where they would focus on to try to you know what I mean to prove everything, but it's
I
just
mean, the manhole or the grassy knoll, it doesn't much matter. Or even the school book depository, was Oswald alone? Was there multiple shooters? None of that stuff is exactly important.
it just
It's
makes it, but it makes it more
interesting.
plausible that there was a second shooter. You know what I mean? If there was a perfect headshot, that would make sense. Why his head jerked back? If there was a
Oh, he
shot
was
from the
shot in the
front,
front.
but they keep trying
There
to
was more than
prove.
one shooter.
How many documentaries have you seen where they're trying to prove where the headshot from the back would cause him to shoot his head backwards, which makes no sense. Like I've seen, they've shot
Right. And
pigs, they've shot pigs in the head, and they try to prove it every which way, but a manhole and a perfect shot, perfect location makes more sense. So
right. And then you got the problem with the autopsy. He goes to the Parkland Hospital right there in Dallas, and they obviously work on him. And one of the doctors in the room said, a big part of his brain was missing, but a lot of it was there. He gets to Bethesda Naval Hospital, and when he comes, and he's in a different coffin than they loaded him on in.
oh yeah,
Like, right? Yeah, it's a different coffin. It's a very standard, basic coffin, but he was loaded onto more of a nice one, a more elaborate one. Anyway, when they get him out and unzip the body bag, they have him body bag. When they look at him in the autopsy room at Bethesda, there's no brain in there at all. His brain just disappears.
yeah.
So they didn't want the evidence of the headshot um, in the autopsy because it is from the front. Um, but like I said, whoever shot wherever they shot from isn't really the most important thing. The most important thing is who gave the order. And the theories are Russians, Cubans, mafia, or CIA, United States government. Well, we know the Secret Service pulls off security to make the shot possible, and we know the Russians can't make the Secret Service stand down, the mafia can't make them stand down, and the Cubans can't make them stand down, but the CIA can, and so the CIA did it. And Hoover, the FBI, he has to know too because he could investigate and figure this out and find out the CIA did it, and if he's not in on it, but so the tops of our agencies, law enforcement agencies, and LBJ would know about this. And LBJ, it's his Secret Service that that pulls these has these guys stand down and pulls the motorcycle cops back, and just from a common sense perspective as well. And that's how I look at all this stuff. If you just go common sense and logic, it's not too hard to figure out what happened throughout history. Almost every time a leader is assassinated for the entire human civilization, the responsible party is the person who becomes the new leader.
Yeah.
So LBJ becomes president. LBJ Secret Service is the one who pulls the motorcycle cops back, removes his security, and he becomes president without a single vote.
And they're in LBJ's home state. And so,
Right. And LBJ's buddy had bought that building, School Book Depository, 2 months before the shooting. Oswald gets a job there 5 weeks before the shooting. Bill Frazier gets a job there right around the time he bought the building. So,
wow.
you know, if you get rid of the nonsense and look at the facts, it's not that hard to figure out. And that's why I think you got a lot of videos out there. A lot of people are some people just want to be important, and then you got other videos that are intentional distractions, probably government influenced, or if not government created, JFK assassination videos where they'll talk about, oh, what about the driver, maybe he did it. Okay, the driver's not going to turn around with a gun in his hand while you got the governor, the governor's wife, the first lady, and the president there, and nobody sees it, and the Secret Service behind, and all the people around. Like, someone would see that. Like,
Yeah.
it's just, but the people put out these theories. Or what about the guy with the umbrella? Did he shoot? Was the umbrella a gun? Or so, and these are all just distractions that really don't make a lot of sense. But people love to run down and think about these things, and when you do, you lose sight of the simple facts that are right in front of your face.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, after all this time, you would think somebody would just do a whole series on these, just these two little details. But yeah, it's just that's what's always been baffling to me, how nobody focuses on that, on those two things. Just the following the ladder on the Secret Service agent, just tracing it back up, like I'd asked before, like who made the call, who told that guy to do it, just trace it up. There has to be some sort of paperwork, and you probably
Well,
have a
they're not
better
going to have
idea.
paperwork on that. Oh, they'll have paperwork. Oh, you mean basically
Well,
the way things
whoever made the
work.
call,
Who can?
yeah, whoever pulled that Secret Service agent off, I'm assuming he would have to document. You know what? I pulled this Secret Service agent off, and then it couldn't just be just some random thing. Oh, I just had this idea. He had to have reported it to somebody, to a superior. Then go to that
Right.
superior. Who told you to do that? Why did you do that? Explain. Like, how
Well,
could
the
you
thing
make such
about it
a?
is this isn't going to go through the normal chain, because you're not going to go up the ladder, because the fewest people involved, the better. So the Secret Service agent, the head Secret Service agent in the car, he's involved. He pulls them off, but he's probably the only one there that knew,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah,
Then from him, you got the director of the CIA, director of the FBI, and the vice president, which also I could say those four almost certainly were involved. You don't want any more people involved that you don't have to. So you're not going to go from the Secret Service to assistant director of the FBI or assistant director of the CIA and then up to the director, because now you're involving more people. This isn't going to be. You're not going to go the usual route on this, because we're killing a president. So you're going to do it in this way where you have the least amount of people, only the necessary. And the necessary one for the Secret Service to do that, for the head Secret Service agent to do that, he can't do it alone, because he would get caught. The CIA and FBI would realize that immediately.
yeah,
Why was the formation completely different this time than it was all the other times? And this one, he gets killed. They're caught. He's caught right there. If it was just him,
yeah,
or if he had somebody else that wasn't, if the director of the CIA and FBI aren't involved, and there's somebody else, making this order, the mafia is telling them to do whatever, they're caught.
yeah,
But if the CIA director and the FBI director are in on this, and the vice president, now you're good, because everybody else is under them,
yeah.
and you're not, and they're going to shut it down, right? So you don't need anybody else.
I'm wondering. I want to say that I've heard that the excuse that they gave for pulling that Secret Service agent off was that, I don't know. I want to say that they wanted to make it look as if JFK wasn't worried, like he wasn't scared of
Right.
traveling.
And hey, and you bring up a good point. Now check this out. So JFK actually didn't like Secret Service on the back of his limo. That's true.
Yeah,
And he said the Secret Service is useless. If someone wants to kill the president, they can do it, but they're gonna lose their own life, right? Those are JFK's words. So it's perfect for them.
Yeah.
They go, you know what? He doesn't like us on the back of the limo, but he doesn't have that call. The president doesn't have the call on his security. The Secret Service can override the president because we're not going to allow you to do this or that. You're going to get killed, right?
Yeah.
So they were on the back every time except in Texas. And their perfect excuses, well, JFK didn't want us on the back. And it's true.
Yeah.
But why were you on the back all the other times he didn't want you on the back? And why did you fly in agents from Washington D.C. and not tell them until the limo starts rolling out 40 minutes before he gets murdered?
Yeah.
Right? So JFK actually helped them in that, saying those things. They're like, hey, we're just doing what he wanted to do. Right, but that's not how the Secret Service works. Your job is to protect him. If he says, hey, I want to go skydiving without a parachute, you're going to go, no,
Yeah.
right? You can't do it. We're not going to allow it. So there's certain things the president doesn't have the say so over when it comes to security, and this is one of them. Now, he liked that setup, but they never used it until they went to Texas.
Yeah.
And the one time he gets killed is when they decided, you know what, we're going to go ahead and give in to the president. We're going to go ahead and let him be exposed.
Yeah.
It just so happens there was a lone gunman who was in the building who shot him. Wow, that's weird. Who would have thought? Right? It's so ridiculous.
Well, that's why I'm wondering maybe now if that's how they got away with that part. That if say the Warren Commission interviewed that Secret Service agent that pulled the other guy off, if maybe that was just his excuse and that's where it ended. Oh,
The Warren Commission didn't interview him.
they did an interview. Wow.
No,
How in
but
the hell?
he did give an explanation. The Secret Service agent that throws his arms up in confusion,
Yeah.
he did give an explanation. What he said was, they told me, hey, we don't need you. Go have lunch. So you flow him in from Dallas.
That's it.
I mean, from Washington D.C. to Dallas to protect the president, and you don't tell him you don't need him until the very last minute. Why is he there at all? Then, so now this isn't really flying too well. So I saw two of the Secret Service agents that were there that day, Clint Hill, and I'm not sure the other guy's name, but the other guy brings it up. He says, a lot of people make a big deal out of the Secret Service agents being pulled off the back of the limo. I don't know if they make a big deal because I've never heard anybody talk about it but me,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But I'm sure other people have, but it does not seem like it's been made a big deal. But he says the Secret Service agent that was there that day says he knew he wasn't going. He was just there for a photo op. So hang on. This guy's on the back of the limo all the time. You can look at him in Tampa Bay 4 days before. Same guy.
Wow.
He's all over in photo ops. Why would he need a photo op on the back of the limo? And if he did, why are you flying him all the way from Washington, D.C. to Dallas to do it?
Yeah.
Right? It's all bull crap.
Especially traveling through one of the most dangerous, risky environments with all the tall buildings and all that. Perfect.
Well, the
perfect
other
for an
thing
assassination.
The other thing is in Tampa Bay, Chicago, the Secret Service details for their security plans, which are online. You can look these up for JFK's Secret Service detail security plans, where everybody is, what their plans are, how they orchestrate it. So I'll just use Tampa Bay, which is 4 days prior. In Tampa Bay, their Secret Service records indicate that there had to be sharpshooters on top of all the buildings, the tall buildings. All the tall buildings, the high windows had to be taped shut and searched.
Wow.
None of these things occurred in Dallas. So they went completely off the rails in Dallas. They didn't provide a security on the back of the limo. They had the motorcycle police who ride next to the limo fall back, and they were not allowed to get up to the back of the limo. They didn't put sharpshooters on the buildings. They say there was no Secret Service there, other than in that car, the follow-up car.
No.
They didn't tape any of the windows shut, which they did all that stuff 4 days before.
Yeah.
4 days later, oh, you know what? Let's try something new. It'll be fun, right? It makes no sense. Like, you guys, what are you talking about? Like, so this is how clear and easy this is to understand. His security is completely removed. The shot is cleared. You got a guy who they groomed up from 15 years old to do something. Maybe not this, but maybe they had other things in mind, or they didn't even know exactly yet what. But, something's going to come up we can use this guy for.
Yeah.
And so they get him to do all this political stuff, anti-Castro, pro-Castro, all these different things, and not really knowing exactly what they're going to use him for yet. Or maybe they did. I don't know. But they wanted to make this guy out to be um, kind of a extremist and confused person. I'm communist. No, I'm American. I'm pro Castro. I'm anti Castro. I'm definitely political and I'm radicalized. I just don't know which way. Right? It's nonsense. Oswald had very clear views um, on which way he stood on these issues. Now, it's hard to say what those views were, but like anybody, you're not pro-communist and anti-communist at the same time. You're not pro-Cuban and anti-Cuban at the same time, right?
Yeah.
He's he's going to both offices in the same day, proclaiming he's both. So it's a game, but he's
Yeah,
being
they're just
put
trying to
up to
make him
this
seem
to make
radical.
him
Yeah.
right.
Hmm.
Exactly. So they make him. They really groomed him up for this, made him feel important, made him look radical, and then facilitated the job, facilitated the opportunity, told him, you're going to be our guy. We're going to take care of you as soon as it's over. There's a getaway car outside. We're going to get you out of here. And what their plans were after that, I'm not sure. I know he had applied for a visa for him and his wife to go back to Russia prior to that, just days prior to that. But that could have just been the CIA who did that.
Yeah, no, they wanted him dead.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we don't know if that's the case. But anyway, he felt like, hey, I'm part of this important team, this important world event. I'm going to be a center point in it. And these guys got my back.
Yeah.
And then it happened, and there was no one to have his back. So
Yeah.
he panicked and just starts walking around acting weird and shooting cops and, doesn't know what to do.
Yeah, I wonder how they plan to get rid of him. Just maybe arrest him because they needed him dead. The fact that they're willing to go as far as having Jack Ruby come and murder him in front of everybody, they needed Oswald dead. So I wonder how they planned on doing that. If maybe one of the cops, it was going to be some sort of fake
I think
shootout, kill him, or just say that he shot back, and I don't know. I
I
wonder
think that they thought that honestly, I think they thought the police would catch him in the building.
and kill him, or because I don't think they wanted him
Oh no,
arrested.
they would arrest him. They'll just kill him. They'll kill him when they killed him right in the police station.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I mean,
because
you
walking
know what I
out, he was
mean?
already he's already basically blabbing. He's saying I'm a patsy, or already insinuating that there's other people involved.
Right, but
I'm,
he didn't give much information than that, right? Like he didn't say, "Hey,
but the word
I
patsy,
was part of this, but there's other people." Right, you're right. He
you know what
did
I mean?
say that. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's pretty specific. You don't just say, "Hey, this is the setup." I don't know what the hell's going on. Like it wasn't me. You saying I'm a patsy? I'm the fall guy for a fall guy for what? Like who? So
and he was.
no, but I'm saying, yeah, just the amount of information he's already starting to give up. They couldn't have him, stay alive. So that's why I think Jack Ruby went to that extreme. They had to get rid of him. So maybe
Well,
just
once he did the shooting, he was dead.
yeah,
They're going to kill him. And I think like for them, they don't want to. They couldn't go after him right then that day, like go in the building and kill him because it would look, the exposure, the possibility of being the conspiracy being exposed by doing that gets
yeah,
a lot bigger. So
yeah,
I think they figured he would get caught in the building, and then once he didn't, they were like, well, we'll just get him when we can get him. And
yeah.
then the police get a hold of him, and they say, okay, we'll send in an assassin in there. And whether any of the police knew or not, I'm not sure. But
He was interrogated for a little while, though. Do you know if
yeah, and there's no record of it.
there's no record, huh? Yeah, I wonder what he said
No,
in there.
yeah,
I,
no
wa-
record of
I
it.
wonder if he was just giving up.
They said they didn't have a tape recorder.
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, there were tape recorders at the time, but they said, yeah, we've been requesting one. Now, whether they did or didn't, I don't know. 1963, tape recorders were a thing. So for the police to have interrogations without tape recorders is weird. I did look this up, and I think it was later, a little bit later after that, that a law was actually made that you had to record interrogations. Police interrogations had to be recorded. But at that time, they didn't have to be recorded.
no,
But still, the president of the United States gets killed. This is the man, and you're going to interrogate him. And the Secret Service is like, you know what? We're not even going to provide you a tape recorder. We're not even going to bring him with us back to Washington and interrogate him ourselves. We'll just let the local police department do it because I think they didn't want them in their hand. And if he gets into Secret Service hands and they take him, which they should have,
hmm
but they didn't, because if that's the case, then how are you going to kill him?
No.
You know, you got him in Secret Service custody. How did he die?
Yeah.
Right? But if he's in police custody in a local police station
Yeah.
and he gets killed, well, hey, we weren't even there.
Yeah. Anything's possible in there. He could have killed himself.
Right, right.
In the
He could have
jail.
suicided himself.
Yeah.
He could have Epsteined himself, suicided himself.
Yeah. So that makes sense. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Basically, that was great. Dan, that was good play by play. Definitely something that I think should require a full documentary series to investigate. Man, just these two
I mean, the
details.
Oswald thing they've done a lot. So there's people, the stuff I'm saying about Oswald, I think is out there. But there's a lot of people who say no, he's not involved at all. There's people he's a lone shooter. There's people on all sides of this. This has been gone over a lot. I might have a little bit of a different take in there. I start talking about how he was out in the bush at 15, and hear a lot about that, or being groomed up,
Yeah,
and how and how obvious it is that he was involved.
yeah,
Um, but the other part, the Secret Service being pulled off and the shot being cleared, isn't talked about a lot. So,
yeah,
but when you put it all together, it's pretty simple, pretty straightforward what happened there. And I don't know, it's like, I'll tell you this, like I've been looking at this since I was 18 years old, off and on. But I've done probably more research on this than the people who are putting out those videos out there with millions of views.
yeah,
Honestly, I probably have,
yeah.
and I wasn't convinced of who did it, who made the call, and I could see the possibility of the mafia, the Cubans, the Russians, and the American government. I could see all those angles as possible. They all could be possible. But when I saw that video at the airport, done. Done. There it
Yeah,
is. I mean, there's your smoking gun.
yeah,
His security is pulled off right in front of your eyes, and then he gets shot dead.
yeah,
And it's completely different security in Dallas than it was 4 days before in Tampa Bay in the rest of his presidency.
yeah,
Done. It's over. But I saw that Secret Service get pulled off, and he throw his arms up in confusion, and then he gets shot from behind. That guy's in the way. It's there it is. And once I saw that, I was like, I just sat back on my chair like, oh my god, how did I never see this?
yeah, yeah. No, I still remember
And it was
when I
probably 20 years I was looking at this stuff before I saw that video.
yeah, no, when I first saw that video, I felt the same way as you. I was just like, how the hell this explains everything? Like this is like a good a good lead. Like how the hell have I never seen a documentary about this video right here? So yeah, I'm with you. The guys I don't get are the ones are the skeptics, man. The guys that just really think, no, it was just Oswald all by himself, and
Well,
how the hell they justify all this information being
what happens too is, like, we could take out like government involvement in this. Like, there probably is some of that. Some of these videos are being pushed by the government as distractions. But if you take that out, people, what happens is people will draw a conclusion. Then whatever evidence they see, if it fits it, they accept it. If it doesn't, they reject it. It's rationalization.
no,
Whereas the way you should look at these things, or anything in life that you're trying to understand, is gather the evidence and let it lead you where the evidence leads you.
no,
And then you come to an actual good conclusion. But people get very defensive because they've made up their mind, and then they find evidence that doesn't uh, corroborate that, and they don't want to be wrong.
yeah,
Oh, I was wrong about this, and that's one of the big things for people, is to be able to admit you're wrong will open up so much for you, that because you're going to be wrong. We all are. I'm wrong all the time, and I'll admit it. When I realize it, or it's proven to me, I admit it, and move on from there, because I'm in a better place for being wrong and understanding the truth. And I think a lot of people have a really difficult time with being wrong, and you won't be wrong so much if you do the evidence first to bring you to your conclusion. But most people do it the other way. They want to believe something with very little evidence, or they'll watch one video of Oswald acted alone, or Oswald wasn't guilty. They'll watch that, then they're like, "Yep, I agree." And then if they see the other videos where people have different evidence, they're like, "No, no, no, no. I already know." But you don't have that much evidence yet.
yeah.
So
I know. Well,
life lessons.
Well, man, but if just more people were kind of open to this, they'd be just more open to how corrupt the whole system is, and how we're being
Yeah,
led astray to. But I wonder, you know what I mean? Like, what could have changed had JFK lived? Like, how would it really have been so positive? You know,
I think the CIA, the deep state, had already kind of been entrenched. But at that point, so I think that they would have continued growing in their corruption, and we would still be in a bad place. But I think the JFK assassination sped it up and emboldened them.
but
We shot the president's head off in broad daylight and got away with it. We can do anything now.
yeah, no, I
And
guess
they
I
would, so their reluctance to do big things, they were already doing big things, but their reluctance to do them was less, and their bravado
yeah.
to just, I mean, now I mean, oh, the government is just ridiculous. Listen to the stuff they tell you now. It's crazy. Like
Well,
they
that's what
have
I'm saying. If
no
more people would have
problem.
been more skeptical, if more people were kind of open to this whole theory, but the
Well,
fact that
back then they didn't have all this information either. Like these videos, the government held on to the Zapruder film for 12 years.
yeah,
The airport film they probably held on to too. I don't know. So you didn't have the internet. So you didn't have a whole lot of resources to back then. I don't think I would have been able to figure it out. I would be like, I don't know. But
yeah,
with the information we have now on the internet, and you got this information that you can see for yourself, it's much
yeah,
easier to
pe-
figure out.
to piece it all together. Yeah,
Right.
I guess I just wonder, how what the motivation really was. Could it really have been just the military-industrial complex wanting money, or was it a big foreign policy plan? You've heard about like Zbigniew Brzezinski, that whatever the hell he was for Jimmy Carter, and Henry Kissinger. They supposedly their foreign policies, they do them in 30-year plans. So they set out a 30-year plan. That's how they plan stuff. You ever heard that? You ever heard how that concept?
Uh, yeah, it sounds familiar, but I don't know a lot about it. I have not looked into that a lot.
Yeah. So supposedly their foreign policies are set up in 30-year increments, I guess you could say. So I'm wondering if there was something like that back then, where JFK was just getting in the way of first of all Vietnam. I don't know if I heard it in the JFK movie that supposedly JFK wanted to team up with Russia on the space project. So basically, he was about to end tensions with Russia. Sounds familiar, and pull out of Vietnam. Obviously, giving a pass to whatever communism might be spreading there. If all that scared the CIA, and they thought either they were doing he was doing evil work that's going to benefit communism, or could it really have been as simple as the military industrial complex was going to lose out on a lot of money, over the years based on JFK's foreign policy plan? Like, I wonder, like, what the hell, what could have
Well,
been, or how simple their motivations really were. Like,
I would say, I mean, the communism thing's a big thing. So you got also take into account that before he was assassinated, JFK looking into the CIA and realizing they were working with the mafia literally and using mob assassins. So the guy in the manhole could have been a mafia guy, but he's ordered by the CIA, right? So it's the United States government is in charge. Doesn't matter who the shooter was. But my point is that the CIA was doing a lot of dirty, dirty things, overthrowing regimes around the world, and
yeah,
JFK is like, these guys are out of control.
yeah,
Um, and so he wanted to put some checks on them. He fires Alan Dulles, who's the head of the CIA. After his assassination, LBJ, the vice president and the director of the FBI, Hoover, put Alan Dulles on the Warren Commission to investigate the murder of the president who fired him.
fuck. Imagine what Bobby
Right?
Kennedy was
Which
thinking at that
means
time. Jesus.
Alan Dulles is now in charge of this because everybody else on that commission is like scared.
Yeah,
These guys, the intelligence agency can ruin anybody, and so or kill you. And so they put the guy who hated JFK, was the director of the CIA, on the investigation to determine who killed JFK.
yeah,
So the CIA is plenty pissed. You got Alan Dulles being fired. You got the Bay of Pigs where JFK backed out. He wasn't going to do it. You got Vietnam where JFK after the election is going to pull out completely.
Yeah.
You got the Cuban Missile Crisis,
Oh yeah, yeah,
right? Which they wanted to attack Cuba,
yeah,
right? And JFK worked it out peacefully. And so they figure he's too soft on communism, and he's not going to use the military-industrial complex. Hey, we like to go blow things up, kill things, and be in control. Um, so yeah, the CIA was going to lose some power. He said, I will break the CIA up, splinter them into 1,000 pieces, and cast them into the wind."
yeah,
That's a paraphrase of what JFK said. So the CIA was like, hell no, we're in charge, right? You're
yeah,
going to fire the director of the CIA. You're going to break us up.
yeah,
You're not going to do our bidding in Russia, Cuba, and around the world. You're going to fire him? No, I don't think so. Right?
yeah,
We're in charge, not you. So they already had that mindset that they're running things, and they basically were. And
yeah,
JFK got in there and looked at it and said, no, no, no. And that's what happens to every president now. If you get in there and you do the bidding of the deep state, aka the intelligence agencies and the law enforcement agencies, DOJ, FBI, CIA, if you work with them, then you're fine. But if
yeah,
you don't, we kill you, we set you up, frame you. Um, with Trump, it's just what they're doing to JFK. Same thing with Trump. Trump isn't playing ball with this corrupt deep state, and so they're after him
yeah,
now, killing him. They can't really do it, so they're trying to imprison him, take away his money, not allow him to be on ballots. Completely un-American stuff,
yeah, yeah,
completely against freedom and the Constitution. But and they're doing it right in front of our face, and they don't care. What are you going to do about it?
yeah.
Right?
Really?
That's their attitude now. They're very brash. But
Yeah.
I think you're right. It had a lot to do with the CIA and the military-industrial complex getting what they wanted.
But then think about it. What did they really accomplish? Like what else? What other big incidents other than Vietnam happened under LBJ? What else?
Well, you
Anything? I think stuff in South America maybe
well
or
LBJ made the
domestically he passed the
he
Civil Rights Act. But then other than that, it's just the Vietnam War. It was
well,
only
the Vietnam
it was
War
6 years.
is a really big thing for the CIA, and LBJ escalated it
Yeah,
definitely. So they got what they wanted there, definitely. But it's not just that; it's the things you don't know. These guys are overthrowing governments and assassinating people around the world, in multiple countries, and it's not talked about as much over these other countries because they're not that big a deal, and it wasn't like full blown wars,
yeah,
but they would do this in other countries, and Kennedy's like no, and so if you're the CIA or the military industrial complex, you're looking at this going, look, this guy, he's too soft. He's going to get us all killed.
yeah,
He's risking our national security. So this is probably how, in their mind, they actually are like, yeah, we're the good guys. We're protecting Americans by killing the president. That's how twisted they get
yeah,
over this stuff. And they just, and once again, I really think at the end of the day, it comes down to who's running things. We're running things, not you. He says, no, I'm the president. I'm running things, not you. Okay, you're running things? Gotcha. We'll
yeah,
take care of that.
yeah.
And I think, that's how it is since him all the way up till today. And even a little before him, this all started out of World War II with was it the SOS originally that we started instead of the CIA? But
OSS.
Eisenhower, yeah, well, anyway, the precursor to the CIA, Eisenhower didn't want to do it when he was president, but the Russians, the Soviets had their KGB,
Yeah,
and our adversaries had secret intelligence groups, and Eisenhower's like, I don't want to be like the Nazis with the Gestapo.
yeah.
Well, I'm not doing it. At first, he didn't do it, but then he got convinced to go ahead and start the CIA. If that's what they started, I think it was a different name, SOS or something.
Office of Strategic Services, OSS. Yeah,
Oh, OSS. Okay,
yeah,
I'm like SOS.
yeah. Well, they
But yeah,
were around
so
in
it really
World War
started
II.
right then.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
but it was the World War II that started it, and we didn't have a secret service or a intelligence agency before that like this.
yeah,
And
hmm
once they got life, it just started to grow, and they got power, and they were able to manipulate things in the U.S. and around the world, and they got used to it. And then JFK comes in and goes, "Oh, no, you guys can't do all this stuff."
yeah,
Yeah, we can.
yeah. Well, I mean, I guess I was thinking right now maybe the other thing they probably accomplished is behind the scenes in the government. They probably embedded themselves a lot tighter in how things work. They probably got a bigger budget. They probably just started hiring. You know, what I mean, being able to pay off congressmen and just getting more people, behind what the CIA was doing. So it probably wasn't necessarily just foreign policy goals. It was probably just solidifying their place in U.S. politics forever. Probably. So
Right. And I don't think that they really even need to pay off these congressmen and senators and other officials so much. I don't think that's their play, really. Their play is more of blackmail because they're the intelligence agency. They
at,
know everything about you.
at that time, because I
You're not
mean,
going to.
I think a lot of people were scared to even mention the CIA because if you even go back like in movies, bro, like you don't ever hear the initial CIA in older movies. Like they don't. That was like a secret agency that you didn't really talk about. So I think it was like a different mentality. So just the fact of what is it? Was it Mockingbird? Operation Mockingbird with the news, with the press. They had to buy off all the news agencies and stuff like that. So I wouldn't doubt that they secured a budget to just have congressmen there paid off and
Oh, I'm
scared
sure there are payoffs too, but
scared as hell to vote the wrong way
yeah,
and
scared is probably more like it.
yeah, and so the foreign policy just continued the way it was. But I mean, damn, but when you think about it, what really happened? Vietnam, obviously the Cold War continued, so there was an arms
Okay, so
race.
you want to know
There was an
you want
arms
to know
race
about the
still.
30-year plan?
Yeah, what else could they have
Well, I would
accomplished
say
by
I
killing
would say
JFK?
I would say if we look at where is this all leading now today,
Yeah,
it's no longer about taking over the United States government. They've had control of that since at least 63
yeah,
and probably a little before that. So they've got that. So where is that going to lead? It doesn't quit growing. It's a worldwide attempt now. The deep state is worldwide. This is
yeah,
no longer a U.S. thing. It's a worldwide thing. And so they are aiming for a one world government.
yeah,
Anybody wants to get in the way of that, we'll cancel you. We'll bring you up on charges, etc. They're going. That's where it's not just elements in the United States government anymore. It is. We're a big player in this, but it's worldwide. These agencies are working together. Like different countries' agencies are all working together. These deep state agencies are now working together with the billionaires and etc. to make what they did in the United States a worldwide event. And
yeah,
now we'll take full power, right? When people get into this mindset, are these agencies they grow a life of their own? It just grows and grows. It's like cancer, and it grows and grows and grows. So it's not going to stop at our borders, and it hasn't. And it's very clear to see that now that there's an attempt for to control the world.
yeah.
So we got the United States. Now let's go for the world. Ha ha ha! Right? And then after that, who knows, man? They'll probably try to conquer space.
Really?
It just there's never enough. We never have enough power.
Yeah. Well, I mean, with I like what I showed you on the first episode with China. I think they just want full control, just power, just ultimate power is just the last, the end game for everything. They have probably all the money that they could ever have. They've experienced everything they could ever experience as far as pleasure. The last thing that's probably the most addicting is power. So just to be able
Well,
to,
and imagine you're the ones who conquered the entire world.
yeah,
The
just
only no one's ever done that yet,
just
but
that ego.
it is getting really close to that. They are really pushing for that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So I think that I wouldn't say that was the 30-year plan in 63. The 30-year plan was to do it to the United States, and then if there's another 30-year plan, where like when Bush Senior came out and said, I still remember this. It was just sounded so wrong, and I voted for him.
Hmm.
It's time for a new world order. He says that in a national speech. I was like, that
Yeah.
doesn't sound right.
He did it on
What does
purpose.
that mean?
Yeah.
Right. And I think right there's your new 30-year plan. That was in the 80s. Right. And so now they're pushing towards the um, new world order. In other words, now it's time to take over the world.
There was a sentence that he said. in that speech where he says, when we accomplish, he says it, I think he says the word 2 times, New World Order. Is like, when we accomplish our New World Order, and or when we're successful, or something like that. I can't remember. And we will be. I remember he says that. Like, he has the confidence that they're going to just succeed. I've always wondered what the hell do these guys have, like, up their sleeve, man. Like,
I mean, and at that time, the United States is without a doubt the most powerful country in the world. So, what new world order are you looking for as an American president? We're already number one,
no.
right? So it's like we can't be higher than that.
Yeah.
So it's just So I think honestly, I think if you just follow logically where this is going, it's going towards an attempt for a one world government.
Real quick, back to JFK. Have you ever read or heard about the book by Stephen King called 1963? You ever heard of that book?
They did a movie on
Yeah, did you
that or
see that?
something.
Did you
Yeah, I
see?
did.
Yeah, what'd you think about that? What ends up
You know
happening?
what?
You
I don't
remember?
remember what the concept was.
So the concept is that somehow there's a time machine or some sort of time portal
Oh
that
yeah,
sends people back to around that time, but to before JFK was being killed, and one of the main character, he gets it in himself to try to stop the JFK assassination, but fate or something is trying to stop him. I don't know what. So he keeps having to go
right,
back,
right,
but finally he succeeds, and he prevents the assassination, and he finally says, "Okay, I'm done." So he goes back to the future, but he goes to a future where there's a nuclear holocaust, like all the United States is destroyed, and so
right. So it's kind of like what you were saying. What would it look like if you didn't get
yeah,
killed?
yeah. I wonder what the hell could it have been. I mean, this is Stephen
Right.
King, so who knows? He's anti-Trump too,
Right.
man. So who knows what the hell his motivation really is, man? But
I mean, it's interesting, but I would say this. I mean, I'm sure you probably don't believe, but you can't go back in time. Time travel is possible, but it's only possible in that you can slow time down by speed. So if you go really fast in a spaceship, time will slow down. If you go the speed of light, time stops.
yeah,
So that's the only time travel that's possible. Traveling back in time, physics wise, not possible.
Yeah, that's what I hear. I
But
mean,
it's a
I
fun
like thinking
concept
about
to
it though.
play with.
It's one of my favorite subjects. Movies, anything about time travel. I love all that
Oh,
stuff, man.
really? You're in time travel?
Yeah, I love time travel.
So
Any story.
do you know that if time is based on light, so
Yeah,
light
I don't
goes
know all the physics.
687.
You probably
So
understand it more
light
than I.
goes. I'll just go over it real quick. Light goes 687 million miles an hour. So if you go 687 million miles an hour, time won't pass at all. So if you're going that fast and you're out in space doing that, which is a ridiculous, you can't do it. But if you were and you were out there for 20 years, you come back, you won't age at all, and everyone's 20 years older. If you do half that speed, 343,000 million miles an hour, then you come back in 20 years, you're 10 years older, and everybody else is 20 years older. So the faster you go, like even if you're on an airplane, time will slow down a little for you, even in a car. But it's so minuscule that it's really you can't tell. Or if you're at a higher location,
In
a beach
space, I
versus
think
a mountain,
they
yeah, in
even they prove it.
space,
Yeah, the astronauts,
yeah.
I
But
think.
it's very little because we can't go that fast and very fast at all compared to the speed of light.
Well, it has to do with gravity too, no? Like the further away, the more gravity, the more time slows or something like that. Or I'm not sure how it works.
Well, it's just how fast you're moving. So if you're on different parts of the planet, on a mountain or at the beach, um, you're going to be spinning faster at one place than the other because the Earth's spinning. So time will move slower at one than the other. But they've done this with atomic clocks, but it's like not even fractions of a second,
Yeah.
like over like a long time. So because still the speeds are nowhere near 687 million miles an hour. So you're not going to see real significant changes. But like an astronaut flying out in a space shuttle, or orbiting the Earth at high, tens of thousands of miles an hour. Yeah, they're going to slow down a little bit, but they're only going to gain a few seconds by
Yeah.
the time they come back because it's still very little percentage wise of the speed of light.
Yeah.
But that is interesting. If you go the speed of light, time just stops.
Yeah. No, that's not definitely the whole
But
thing's just.
going back in time, yeah, I don't think that's, I don't know, we don't know everything, so you never know. But physics wise,
Well, I thought it
there's
was funny
zero evidence for that.
in that book. Stephen King didn't even try. He just said, "Oh, you walk into some sort of pantry room or something like that, and you just go back into the past." Like
Right,
He didn't
right.
even try to get all sophisticated with the time travel. He's just walking
I mean,
through.
and you can bend space and time, or space and time. Space time is it's all one thing, space time,
Yeah.
and you can bend it and make a portal and go through it and get you know way further just going through the portal. This is physics possible, but you would have to have like the power of the sun in order to create this machine that could do that or something like that. So it's possible physics wise, but it's not doable. But there's a lot we just don't know. So all these things are possible. You can't say anything isn't essentially, but for what we know now, going back in time, and then you run into all the things you're talking about, all the, how it would just screw time all up.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder sometimes what they've discovered with that Hadrian Collider. That thing in
Well, they
Geneva.
discovered the Higgs boson, which is the particle that gives mass to all other particles when
But
they
not.
first set it up.
But now they want to build a bigger one. So I'm wondering what do they keep looking for? Like they're trying to find something. Like you know what I mean? Like
Well,
how
they
deep do
okay, so
they
there's
want to know about
there's a
reality?
standard model of physics, the standard model of physics, and it's not complete. Well, it's complete, but there has to be some more things. And so this collider, I believe, is I want to say it's like 20 miles. I don't know. It's approximately 20 miles in diameter, and they want to make one. I think that's 70. So the bigger it is, and you can get particles going faster, and then they crash into each other, and then they look at the explosions out of that, and they're looking for very rare particles that they speculate exist. They should exist based on the known physics of the standard model, but until they see them, they don't know. So this one did create the Higgs boson, which had been postulated since like the 50s.
Is that the one they call a God particle?
Yeah, it just gives mass to all the other particles, and Higgs, who's it's named after him, he said that this particle must exist in the 50s or 60s, and he was there when they did it. I believe 2012 or 2016. I think it was 2012. Anyway, when they first got it up and running, they found it right away. But since then, they haven't been able to find any of the other things they're looking for. So now they want to go bigger, more power, more possibilities.
Yeah, more possibility of opening a black hole, just destroying the whole
Yeah,
planet.
I hear a lot of stuff about that, but I don't think that that's
Is that
yeah.
they had enough power for something like that? Well, you never know, man.
Well, I don't think it's even yeah, okay, not enough power, right? Because you could bend space and time and open up a portal. Not a
Yeah,
portal, but it's just a shortcut across space. You bend space in half,
yeah.
and then instead of going the whole length of it like a sheet of paper, if you bent it in half and went through the middle of the paper that's bent in half, it's
What
shorter than going the length.
have you heard of that? I don't know what the hell. Some sort of test they did where they discovered that reality knows when it's being observed. Have you heard of that
Hmm.
story? What is that? Do you know?
Yeah, that's a double slit experiment. So what happens there is they'll take electrons or any particle, but we just use electrons, and they'll have like a metal plate that has two slits,
Hmm.
and then they'll shoot the electrons through them through the two slits, and then they record they'll put a background uh, paper or whatever,
Yeah, I seen that.
and
Hmm.
they record where they hit, right? And when you're recording them,
They look one
um,
way.
yeah, they'll hit just in two lines. Is it recording? Hang on.
Uh-huh.
And then when you're not recording, no, when you're not recording them, they hit correctly. They'll hit in two lines, right? So you're not recording what's happening going through the slit with a recorder, but you're recording what happens on the backdrop. So when you're not recording what happens as they pass through the slit, but you're recording the background, it'll just make two lines basically where they hit. It's like tennis balls through holes,
Yeah,
two slits.
yeah.
The tennis balls are going to hit where you think they would. But when the recorders are turned on, now you have them hitting in like five different places. And there's still lines, or
That's
it's five or seven. But anyway, what happens is that for whatever reason, when the recorders come on, the particles go into a wave.
really.
And so now they act like a wave. And if you run this experiment through two slits with water and you run them through the slits, the waves will start to peak, and they'll make different peaks and different peaks, and they'll make the same pattern. So they know it's a wave pattern. And the beauty of that is that we do know particles actually are waves. So particles come out of waves. field wave theory. So it's like the waves on an ocean. Like if you're watching like just swells, and you know how like they'll pop up and that they'll hit, and then like a drop of water will come off the top.
Mm-hmm.
That's like how a particle's made on a subatomic level that you can't see. These waves are doing this all the time, all around us, and particles are popping off. But then they can join the wave again, just like the water.
Wow.
So then particles being a wave and being a particle is not unknown. They know that. But the fact that when you observe it,
Yeah, that's
it acts one way, and when you don't, it acts another. Like it knows it's being observed, and so it's going to act different. And they haven't figured out why that is yet.
yeah, that's weird
But
as
yeah,
hell.
it's very weird. Particle physics is mind blowing. It doesn't act anything like macro physics. So you get into the particle physics, and it's they can't put the two together. So we have a lot to learn, and it's really because we're in the macro world as human beings. We are macro. We're but when you go on the subatomic level, everything acts differently, contrary to the laws of physics we know. And they're still working on that. There's a lot of work to be done there, and that's really what you get back to the hadron collider is what they're trying to do is they're trying to find these other particles that are at the subatomic level that quarks and things like that should be part of the standard model. And they're looking for them to understand this because we understand the macro level really well. It's just the subatomic that you know we don't really get because things like that, and you're like, what is that?
Man, I always read a bunch of stuff, man. I can't remember this quote. I don't know if Einstein said it or somebody said it that if people that don't understand quantum physics don't. I don't know if you know. You probably heard the quote that
Yeah.
basically you probably go insane if you understood or not insane, but just you'd question all reality. Like if you really understood quantum physics and basically what reality is based on, that
Yeah,
everything.
yeah. And everything's built out of those particles. So the macro world's built from the quantum world.
Yeah,
So we understand the macro world, but we don't understand the quantum world. It's really because we live in it. If we lived in the quantum world, we'd probably understand it because it's part of our world. But it's an invisible world to us, essentially without machines and technology. Like electron, I believe they've never even seen one. They're so small. They just know they're there because of how they interact with the atom.
oh yeah,
So some of these things get so small that you get to the point that technologically we can't even see them. So yeah, but understanding the subatomic level, that's a whole nother. It's very yeah, but the double slit, it's
yeah.
yeah. I actually I watched the World Science Festival, and they've gone over this
They
and
talked about that. Yeah, yeah. No,
yeah,
when I
dark
heard about that, I
matter.
was like, how the hell could that be? And yeah, they were completely dead set on that.
Well,
Day,
even
yeah.
the macro level, if you look at the macro level, we only know everything we see is only 5% of our world, of our universe. Like we see the planets, the stars, the gas clouds, the moons, the asteroids, the comets, us, everything on Earth, everything out there that we can visibly see is only 5% of what's out there.
Yeah.
There's 95% of what's out there we know is there because of how it interacts with what we see, but we can't see it. It doesn't interact with light. Like about 27% or 25% is dark matter, which they still don't know what it is. Most people think it's another particle, but some think it's just our understanding of gravity is wrong. And then the other approximately 70% is dark energy, which is causing the universe to expand, and they don't know what it is or why.
Oh
So
yeah.
95% of what's out there is dark energy and dark matter that's there, but we don't know what it is. So we think we know so much, but you really don't know 5% of the macro world that you live in, and you know almost nothing about the subatomic.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, man. So much
you know,
information, man. And you think,
I could go with this stuff. I could go on.
yeah,
It's
that's
like
that's good, Dan. Shit, man.
podcast after podcast.
I'm pretty sure I've looked at all the same stuff you did, but I just can't retain all that information in my brain, man.
Well, if you want to get the good information, watch the World Science Festival.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, and what they do is they'll bring out the foremost experts in the field, laureates, Nobel Prize winners, et cetera, the people at the front of the field, the tops, and they just sit there and they interview them. It's not so much you're looking at videos and stuff. They do a little of that, but it's mostly just conversations and interviews, panel interviews with these people who are at the forefront of these sciences. And
I used to
yeah,
watch. I
and
used to
then
watch
you they'll
Through the Wormhole with Morgan Freeman. Did you ever
Okay.
watch that show? You ever watch that?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, and it's good, but I just go right to. It's almost like, with the news and the congressional hearings. I go right to the
To the.
congressional hearings, which is the World Science Festival, or there's others.
Oh, okay.
Even TED Talks have some good stuff, but World Science Festival will have the latest
Yeah, I never even
top
heard.
minds sitting down talking to you.
Oh, really?
And they're it's funny because they're all just talking about all this stuff, and it's when you first listen to it, you're like, I don't know what they're talking about, but after a while you start to pick up on it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I'll check.
so I've done lots and lots and lots of it, so that's why I can retain it.
Oh, really? Yeah, no,
It's
I
not
never.
like I watched it one time and I'm like, I'm good. No,
uh,
you need to watch this several times.
yeah, I never even heard of that. Yeah, I gotta check it out.
Oh,
Uh,
it's great.
yeah, no, well, definitely. Well, I mean, it kind of makes you wonder too. Like, if all this information, if they're discovering some just completely amazing things that they don't want to, probably won't even want to reveal to the public yet. All this information, like, how does it, affect like politics, like the stuff they're doing towards Trump? Like, I wonder, like, what is it that they really know? Like, what, like they gotta know.
You,
I don't know. They gotta know like a lot of possibilities for the future. To shit, I don't even
oh, I
know.
mean, whatever. I mean, the government always knows more than we do, whether it be scientifically or technologically, militarily, things like that. There's always going to be some things withheld because of, national security, they'll say, which has always been a valid point, but anymore, I'm not so sure because how corrupt they are. But, but yeah, like whatever, F-22 is the best fighter plane we have. Okay, there's one better than that at least.
Yeah.
We just don't know. You never know the latest. But as far as like particle physics go and dark matter, dark energy. I think honestly, I don't think they're withholding any of that. I think we know the most of that. But now, if they make you got these atomic computers now. They're using these subatomic particles in these computers, and these computers are going to be able to do calculations ridiculous,
I guess
like
I just wonder, like,
instantly,
if they've discovered
and
anything
they'll
that's,
keep that.
yeah, like, I guess just wonder if they discovered anything that's beneficial for like mankind. Like, if they know like we're headed towards a better future, like they got information that they know the future is gonna be better for us. Maybe they've discovered how to prolong life. You know what I mean? Like how to
Yeah.
anything. Like what have they discovered, and how does that
Well,
how
I
does that
mean, a
affect?
lot of your medical advances, scientific advances came out of things like from NASA. Like the cordless drill came from NASA working out in the space shuttle and space station and stuff like that. They needed a drill that didn't have a cord. So they made one, right? Now you use one. Like, and on and on and on.
Yeah,
So you get all these advances out of military, out of wars, and out of scientific exploration.
yeah,
So, and like the MRI, all these things, they come out of places like that, but then some of it's just scientifically discovered because it's they're just working on it. But yeah, I don't know like advances for the human race. I'm sure they're. I mean, we all live longer than we used to
yeah.
by far,
Oh yeah, for sure.
and that's all come from advances in science. But there's probably stuff that we don't know about. I would agree, but I don't know.
Like for example, I remember when Elon Musk was doing remember he was going to build a tunnel, an underground tunnel to San Francisco. Remember that
Mm-hmm.
story?
Mm-hmm.
So when that became like when it was the news and everybody was talking about it, all of a sudden it came out in some article that MIT had actually done a study, like they did some research into if it would be possible to do an underground tunnel from LA to New York. So they actually did
Okay.
like all the science, everything to figure out if it would be possible. And I think they determined that it would be too hard. I don't know if it was because just building the tunnels would be too hard. I forgot what it was, what the conclusion was, but they actually did a whole. They probably used the most smartest people, at least in the country, to try to figure out if that would be a plausible idea. And so I wonder what kind of different studies they've done, like what kind of things they've tried to put together, like and what it involves, like how if they had attempted that, because I think that study was from like the either the 60s or the 70s, something like that. And if they'd figure like how would that affect the economy, how would that affect
I
energy
don't
and stuff.
understand why you would need a tunnel to go from LA to New York. Why would they do that anyway?
Yeah, like well they did it. Yeah, I
I
remember
mean, I
reading.
could see from England to France, you're going underwater instead of a boat.
Yeah.
but this is all land to land, so I'm not sure.
I mean, I don't know. Yeah, exactly. I don't know why they would do it, but I mean, why? I mean, I guess for the same reason Elon Musk would want to do it from LA to San Francisco, just
I mean, I
convenience.
guess you could put a super fast train under there, like a bullet train that just hauls butt, and then you don't got to worry about anything getting in your way.
Well, that's what Musk was gonna do. You ever seen it? Like supposedly
Okay.
they built like one a section right here in LA. Like it's a small little thing that it
Yeah.
transfers your cars. But the one that was gonna go to San Francisco, yeah, you like it's what's it was like a single seat. I would never go in that shit, man. That'd be scary as hell.
I'm good, man. Yeah, I'm
Exactly. I'll
good.
take the drive, man. Take the scenic route.
Right.
But
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
but I guess like I'm saying, I just wonder like what kind of studies they've done, like what I mean, involving what they've learned, with the Hadron Collider, and how they're applying all
Well,
that
you'll
stuff
find out
to
the people
politics.
who run the I don't know how that would apply to politics, but if you want
Well,
to know more about the Hadrian Collider, if you watch the World Science Festival, the people who run it,
yeah,
they're on there, and
yeah,
they'll talk to you about it. But if you want to know like a scientific advancement for humans living longer, I'll give you an example of what's already happening. Is they can map the brain, the synapses, and the brain function, your brain function.
hmm
And this is probably I heard this probably about 6 months ago. So if you're able to keep a person completely still for 24 hours, approximately, they could map your entire brain function,
really,
and
wow,
then they could download your brain activity onto software, into a computer, and
hmm
then that computer will operate free think
based on
as you.
your memories. Wow,
It'll be no, not just your memories, the way your brain functions. It will think like you,
like my logic
and
and everything.
basically, yes, it'll be you,
Wow,
but it'll be you on a computer. And now you take that computer and you put it on a robotic body.
yeah,
Now you're alive forever,
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
or
Well,
you just got to keep doing any repairs you need to the body and the software. But I mean, essentially, they can, you can now live forever, but you can't stay still for 24 hours. It's impossible without even a twitch. But they'll get that, they'll refine that, they'll refine that. So the future from science and technology is going to be um, half human, half robotic sort of thing.
hmm
Our humans just become robotic, but they use their downloaded brain so they don't die. Or you'll have a combination of biological humans, part biological, part robotic, and fully robotic, right?
yeah,
So we're going to incorporate robotics into the humans, into us.
yeah, yeah.
And but this is actually a possibility now. So
Well,
a lot of stuff is coming with these supercomputers that are particle computers. They're using the subatomic particles into computers. I forget what they call them. But anyway, they can do calculations. Like the most powerful computer on Earth will be a piece of crap compared to these.
yeah.
They'll do just super fast. So and whoever has that, it has the best one first. If you get way ahead, you run the world because
Yeah.
you can outcomputer the Chinese or anybody and shut all their stuff off, and they can't do nothing about it because your computer is light years ahead of theirs. But everyone's working on it at the same time, so I'm sure everyone's getting it. But
Yeah.
it's kind of scary where we're going.
Yeah. Well, I mean, involving like AI and all that stuff. Even Musk is warning against that stuff. Um,
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty ugly. You have robot wars and AI, all kind. Yeah,
well, I just don't get it, man. I mean, you would think all the smartest people. I mean, I would assume that the smartest people that have ever lived probably live right now. With all the information available. I mean, just to advance. I mean, theories and stuff like that. That they would know there's a way of a peaceful world. Where war isn't necessary, or like you think they'd already know
right,
how that would be possible, but what
right.
is
But you
what is it
gotta.
that prevents them? Are they scared of overpopulation, or are they just scared of not profiting and not and just losing power? Does it really just come down to those
Well, no,
basic things?
it really comes down to the flawed human.
Yeah,
It's going to come down to God again, because what these people are doing, the reason they're not doing it the way you're talking about, some are, but the ones who really get in power are the bad ones because they're breaking the rules. And the reason they do it is they want all the hot women. Their
yeah,
lust, their
exactly.
greed, right? I mean, well, think about it. If you're a super powerful rich person, you want all these women and you can have them.
Yeah.
right? And so, and you want all the money, and you want all the cars, and you want all the fancy houses and vacations. You want all this stuff, right? And it's because of your greed, your
And it,
ego, your lust, all these things that God warns against. But
and it only
it doesn't
matters.
apply to you if you don't care.
And it only matters and is important if you're the only one that could get it. If everybody could get it, it's not even that important. So I
Right.
would assume that they want themselves to be the only ones to get all that stuff.
Right.
So I get you, man. But
Right. Well, them and there's going to be others, but yeah, but they want theirs, and every, and a lot of these people, when you go down that road, well, you want to be the number one. Like
yeah,
we're all, all these guys are rich and famous or powerful, but I'm more rich and more famous and more powerful. You get caught into that trap, and it's a trap set by Satan for you to satisfy your lust, your greed, all these earthly things that will lead you to destruction
yeah,
because that's where they lead. You see all these people end up killing themselves or are just acting idiotic.
yeah,
But they don't really get have a whole lot of qualms of, well, this may hurt humanity.
yeah,
Whatever. They're so focused on getting what they want that they're like, screw them.
yeah.
Right? It's going to pollute the world. It's going to, whatever. Oh well, you get locked in, lust, 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 ego, 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 power, 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 money, 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 me, 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 me,
Yeah,
and you forget about everybody else.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I
And I
guess for
think
the
that's why that happens.
yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, yeah, because nothing else could explain it. You know what I mean? Like if they know that if they have the information to know there's a better world out there, but they just choose to make it horrible and never focus on positive and just focus on the future of war and prevention of war and you know what I mean, all that stuff.
Well, it's not even that they're focused. Like, say you're a rich and powerful person, or you get there, and so you're not really, or you're in a position where you can actually manipulate world events to a degree. You're not really focused. A lot of these people aren't focused on, I'm going to go to war or I'm going to do these nasty things. But what they're focused on is, give me mine. I want more and more and more of it. I want more of the women. I want more of the money. I want more of the power. And then the guy over there is going, well, screw this guy. I want those women and that money and that power. I'm going to go to war with him and take it.
Hmm.
And that's why you end up in these situations of conflict, is because it's not just one person that wants all this stuff. It's a lot of people. And
Yeah,
a lot of people get in positions of power, and they go and fight with each other over these things. And the rest of the people who aren't involved in this are the ones who actually get killed and fight
yeah,
and suffer and are polluted and all these things. So it's the people underneath suffer at the hands of the people who are trying to get all the money and women and et cetera. And it really just comes down to that. And then they fight with each other over it on a
yeah.
global scale, or even a national scale or whatever, different scales. But and it's the people who aren't doing these things, that don't have this power, that end up paying the price.
Yeah, it makes me think of that book I told you I read about E. Howard Hunt, his last book, his biography.
Hmm.
In the towards the end of the book, he describes what he thought was the lowest form of human being, which is an altruist. You know about the concept of an altruism?
Altruistic.
Altruistic, yeah. So basically,
Yeah, that's yeah, I know what it is.
everything right, everything. I don't know how what the definition is of that, but I always thought it was interesting that he thought that was like the lowest form. I forgot exactly how he describes it in the book, but he
It
hates
depends on how you
altruists.
look at it, right? Because he wants power, money, and women.
Yeah. So
If
well,
you're all Because if I'm not mistaken, if you're exhibiting altruistic behavior, that means that you're
you want
doing stuff
positive.
for others.
Yeah, it's
Right.
positive. It's just the
Right.
ultimate positive thinking or outlook on situations and stuff like that.
Right. And you care
You want the
about others,
best.
and you're looking out for others. Right.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So
So if you're a money hungry, greedy person,
so
then
make
altruism sounds terrible.
yeah, yeah. So I wonder
Right.
why he
And
would.
you know what they see it?
Hmm,
You're weak. You're pathetic. It's ridiculous.
yeah,
Right. He's running his life on his base animal nature.
yeah.
Other people may be running their life on a spiritual nature, which is the opposite of that. You don't go out there and try to get as much as you can. You actually try to serve others because that's what God really wants and that's what's really going to make you happy.
Yeah.
Like you know what they say, giving gifts is better than receiving them
Yeah.
because the joy in that's more. It
Exactly.
actually is.
Hmm.
And that's basically what he's saying. The people who are giving gifts, it's pathetic. I
Yeah.
take gifts.
Yeah.
I'll break in your house and steal your gifts because
Yeah.
I'm a strong man and I conquer. And I think that's what he's trying to say.
Yeah, that part of the book has always stood out to me. Why the hell would he think that? Like, yeah, it makes sense what you say. They're just the opposite type of mentality. I
It's
think
a
that
lion mentality. Like I'm a lion. Like if I'm a lion and I'm out there killing the other lions and taking all the female lions and making babies,
yeah,
then I'm a pathetic lion. Yeah, as a lion, you are.
yeah,
As a human being, it's different
yeah.
because you have a God
But I
that
think I
says the
think
opposite of that.
I think most people are altruistic. I think they think that way. I would think that most people
I
are
think I
altruistic.
think
But
at
maybe
their
that's the
heart they are.
altruism in me thinking that.
I,
So,
I I think a lot of people are like that. It's they'll think like that, but actually living like that, it's a percentage. We fluctuate around in there. Most
yeah,
people are relatively they don't want to do people harm and etc. But at the same time, they want theirs.
yeah,
I'm entitled to this. Oh, that should be mine. I should have this. So it's a combination. I don't think anybody's completely altruistic or completely not. But there's people that are very far on each end,
hmm,
and that guy's yeah.
yeah,
He
yeah,
thinks he
yeah.
thinks he thinks taking and conquering is strength, when the reality is giving and serving is a way stronger person.
Yeah. Well, I guess I don't know. Maybe they just seen too much death and they're just caught up in all that, man. Like, if they're murderers already, they've already given their soul up. You know what I mean?
Right.
So they don't.
Well, it's
They
not
just
too late actually. Ironically.
well, I mean for him, yeah. I mean, but yeah, I've always wondered about that quote that he said. But
Well, it
well,
tells you he's a bad guy. Put it that way.
oh yeah, definitely. But I don't know. I'll still stay on to hope, and that's kind of what I told you. This is kind of the point of this show is that we're gonna stick to
No,
hope and a better way of life and thinking through
and at the end of
ideas.
the day, the hope is in God, and God's real, and there you go.
Yeah,
Like you're good. At the end of the day, God wins. If you're on God's side, you're on the winning team. If you're not, you're on the losing team. You can get all these things in this life, they're not going to make you happy,
no,
and you end up on the losing team. Why
yeah.
would you do that?
Like
Why
what
would
the?
you do that?
Well, you think about who like the people with the most evil plans and stuff like that have ran U.S. foreign policy. What did they really accomplish for themselves? Like, I mean, was it really just to help out other evil people? But in the end, who could you say? It's Big New Brzezinski. He just died. Nobody really cared when he died. Henry Kissinger just died recently. He lived a long ass time, so who knows what the hell he did in his life. He's probably a pervert or something. Uh, George H.W. Bush passed away. Long life, did stuff like that. But I mean, what did he what did he get? You know what I mean? Like just a long
Right.
life, and what the hell did he really?
Yeah.
What did he gain that he didn't already have? Because he was rich for a long time. His family, their family was an oil business, so they always had money. They could always get anything they wanted. But what more did they get? Unless he was able to transfer his brain to a younger body and he's still
Huh.
living. What else? What else is there left? But these people, I guess, I don't know, man. It's just some sort of evil wavelength that they're just all stuck on, or I don't know what it could be.
Yeah, it
But
is the evil wavelength called Satan. It really is.
yeah,
That's
I
what it
mean,
comes down to.
yeah, it's just, I mean,
So you choose the side. I mean, your house is going to be occupied according to the Bible. If the Holy Spirit's in you, you've accepted Jesus, the Holy Spirit's in you, that's who occupies your house, aka your body, your soul,
uh,
your spirit. If you reject that, it's still going to be occupied. Guess who comes then?
no,
Satan, demons, evil. So it's a choice for you. And you can change your mind too and get rid of one or the other. But if you're just out for yourself and greed and lust and passing down stuff just to your family, right? Money and power, and this is what gets you off. You're a servant of Satan.
yeah,
If you're out there serving others, helping others, trying to do what's best for others, right? you're a servant of God.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I guarantee you, you're going to be more happy with less possessions, but more service. That's what, at the end of your life, that's what's going to be the fulfilling thing. When you're on your deathbed, you're not going to say, God, if I would have just got one more Ferrari.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, but if you're on your deathbed and you were serving people, helping the needy, or whatever, in whatever ways, you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
gonna be able to lay there and go, you know what? I did meaningful things.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Those other things weren't meaningful. Matter of fact, they were harmful. I did things that were meaningful and good, right? So I think you're gonna have a much better conscience and feel much better about your life going with God and with service over greed and Satan.
It always.
And it's once again, it's just that simple. All these things are so simple, and people complicate them. I think this is the same sort of thing. Simple.
Yeah. Makes me think of I don't know if you know that I think it was John Cassidy, that the singer that died not that long ago. That I suppose his last words right before he died was uh I think it was so much wasted time. Those were his
Hmm.
dying words. So much wasted time. So makes you wonder, like, you know what I mean, like like what you're saying. If you'd been more, just more of a
More about helping other people.
yeah. If you would have felt that way.
That's all that's really going to matter at the end of the day. Like the relationships you have and how much you helped and uh, that's the real tangible, real. Those are the real riches.
Yeah.
But this world is set up in a way that you're bombarded with. You need this car, you need this house, you got to have this kind of girl, it's got to look like this or whatever it may be. All these things that are material, that you get them and they don't really make you happy anyway. You will for a little bit, but then the thrill goes away and you're left with just problems. Now I got all this great stuff, but she won't quit nagging me. I got the house that so she's cheating on me. I got the house that I got all these taxes I got to pay. I got to keep it up. It's a nightmare. You know what I mean? The job, I get paid a lot of money, but I'm constantly having to be at the office. I don't have any time for anything else,
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
you could just live more within your means and find people that are actually real
Yeah.
and
Exactly.
things like that where you can actually be happy and enjoy your life.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it anyway.
No,
Everybody have
definitely.
their own perspective on that, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I think if yeah, more people were just open to positivity and accepted the advice like that, I think they'd feel a lot better. But these days, there's just so much negativity. A lot of people are just they're losing their minds, man. They're just acting foolish. What's it
Just
called?
do something nice for somebody. Just a simple little thing. Random act of kindness. Just do something nice. Tell someone, hey, yeah, you look good, or like, or something. Just a little thing, and watch how good it makes you feel.
Yeah.
I mean, and
Well,
it's free. The funny thing is the riches in life are free,
yeah.
and everybody, but we're bombarded with the opposite. It's because you got evil people running things, telling you you need this to be happy, but they're never happy.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I guess to circle back to to the JFK thing, what I mean, whatever they wanted to accomplish, shit. I mean, we could go down like history, U.S. foreign policy history, and to me, it looked like it was just one thing after another after Vietnam. They just what I mean, shit. I'd have to look it all up, but it was eventually it was South America, Central America, eventually the Middle East. Everything one thing led to another. It was fighting communism, but then eventually they turned it into terrorism, and they were able to just keep the wars going and keep all the negativity going. And who the hell knows what would have happened if JFK had lived? If he ended tension, which direction the world would have gone in? Who the hell knows? But
Yeah, it's hard to say, but I would say this. You put your faith in a man, like even Trump. I'm going to vote for Trump. I support Trump. I believe he's, the way to go.
yeah.
But I'm not putting my faith in him as like he's the answer, you know. And so when we do that, we're always running into a trap
Hmm.
of our own making. So once again, just for me, I put my faith in God, and I don't worry too much about it because it's
Yeah.
God, right?
Yeah.
He's got you. If you're with God, God's with you, and The world's always had turmoil, always had leaders that people believed in and didn't believe in, then they failed, they did bad things, or you never know what you're going to get. And but I tell you this, you're never going to get all your problems solved by a leader.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
No, definitely.
so. I think
Well,
what would happen with JFK living is it's not. I mean, I
it's
don't get me
definitely
wrong.
a
I
good.
don't want him dead,
No, it was definitely
but
good.
I think that
It's a good
the whole
question. Good.
relevance of it is it leads up to today.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
okay, if he lived, then the Vietnam War would have ended, um,
but
and Vietnam would be what it is today, right? They won anyway.
that's what you wonder. Like, would communism have spread across all of Vietnam easily? Would you know what I mean? Would
It did
communism?
anyway.
Well, I mean, it was prolonged. It definitely killed a lot of people. They definitely stopped it in a lot of ways. But yeah, no,
Yeah,
you're
but at
right.
the end of the war, the
Yeah, they
North
didn't.
took over the South anyway.
Yeah, you're right. That's true. Well, I mean,
So
but you know,
I don't
they
think
just
it would
made it
have been a
harder.
lot. I don't think it would have been a lot different, honestly. I think that the CIA and the bad actors in our government would have had a more difficult time doing some of the things they did, so it might have slowed some things down. But I think they would have got where they're going anyway, because president's only president for 8 years at the most,
Yeah,
and these guys are lifelong appointments, and they pass it on to other bad guys.
yeah,
So I
yeah,
think they're going to get where they're going because they don't give up.
yeah.
So I don't know that there would be much difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like hard to speculate that. You know what I
Well,
mean?
we'll do some research. Maybe we'll do an episode on all the possibilities, all the plans, the alternate possibilities that could have happened, man. But as far as this showdown, we got less than 4 minutes left. So before we hit the 2 hour mark and we lose this damn show, I guess
Right.
we could probably end it right here, my brother. But it was great. That was a good play by play, man. So hopefully people do their own research and start investigating themselves and maybe somebody do you know an expensive documentary on these facts and get more people
Yeah, I
awake.
would like to see that. I would like to see the Secret Service one looked into, but
Yeah, a movie
uh,
shit something.
I mean, Oliver, it's right there for you,
Yeah,
brother.
yeah, I would have thought he would have put a big part of that in the movie, but I don't remember. Yeah, I don't think he even mentioned. He might have mentioned it. I might have mentioned that, but he didn't like really focus on it. But who knows?
Right.
But all right then, Dan. Another good show. You
Yeah,
good? You
yeah.
good? You
Thanks,
good? You
brother.
good
Yeah,
with
good
all the
show.
info? Everything? You got it all out? Everything
Yeah,
was in
yeah.
there?
I think we're good. I think I covered it really in depth.
All right. So maybe next week, yeah, we'll talk about what topic we could do it off air. We'll talk about what we could do next week, but we'll come up with another good
All
one.
right.
Maybe
Sounds
I don't know
good.
how you feel. Maybe you do some research. You know, we've covered JFK, covered Nixon. As far as big U.S. incidents, the other one, I don't know if you'd be interested in this one, is 9/11. Maybe someday we could do a
Yeah,
story on that one.
I would definitely like to do that one. Now, I was against, just real quick, I remember all these people telling me this conspiracy, that conspiracy. So I did look at really deep into it. I've already done a lot of research into
Oh
it.
yeah, okay.
And
So did
one
I.
thing did stand out to me,
Yeah.
but
Well, this.
I was not on board with it being a conspiracy. But now the government's so corrupt, and I know it, that the likelihood of it being a conspiracy is big. And I'll just give you one reason, one point, other than the government being corrupt, is the
What's that?
first plane that hit Cantor Fitzgerald, which is an investment firm. It had like 3 or 4 floors on that tower, and when that plane hit that, it wiped out billions of dollars in records
Really?
that people, yes, and so billions of dollars were lost because of that. Well, they weren't lost, they just weren't owed anymore,
Yeah. Oh
right?
no, no.
So
Well, definitely.
it's odd that it hit those floors. That would be the most expensive place to hit
Yeah.
as far as people making money. But I would have to look into it more. But yeah, definitely,
Okay.
I could look into that, and we
Okay.
could see what we come
Well,
up with.
we'll get to it then, bro. But all right, we're about a little less than a minute left. So, all right, Dan. Well, good show,
Uh,
bro. And have a
all
good
right, man.
vacation.
Yeah, you too.
I'll talk to you off air, bro. But just enjoy it. Enjoy your week, bro.
All right, man. Take
All right,
care.
my brother. Okay. Peace out.
Bye.